Dear students, good morning. We have studied so far about assessment of educational needs, formulating educational objectives, criteria for content selection, and organizing the content in the preceding lecture. Now, I will explain remaining 3 points. Selecting learning experiences. Learning experiences refers to the teaching learning process, the methods followed and the activities planned to facilitate the teaching learning process. There are a few questions which should be addressed before we select learning experiences, which are: do the learning experiences function the way we wish them to in the light of the overall aims and the specific objectives of the curriculum? Will the student be able to apply the knowledge gained to practical situations? Is it feasible in terms of time, staff expertise, resources, etc., to learn the content of the curriculum in the specific time? Do the learning experiences enable learners to develop thinking skills and rational powers? Do the learning experiences stimulate in learners a greater understanding of their own existence as individuals and as members of a group society? Do the learning experiences foster in learners an openness to new experiences and a tolerance for diversity? Do the learning experiences allow learners to address their needs and interests? Do the learning experiences cater to total development of learners in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains? Besides answering these questions, we should be able to create proper environment, physical and psychological, for optimal learning. The educational environment should address social needs as well as development of awareness, appreciation, and empathy for others. It should stimulate purposeful student activity and allow for a range of activities that facilitate learning. Evaluating the curriculum. The effectiveness of any educational program is judged by its potential to realize its goals and objectives. The extent to which the objectives are achieved can be assessed through appropriate evaluation procedures. The evaluation of any purposeful activity should have certain characteristics. The important characteristics are consistency with the objectives of the curriculum, sufficient diagnostic value, comprehensiveness, validity, and continuity. Evaluation is both qualitative and quantitative, that is, it may be formative, with the objective improving the process of development, and summative at the end of the total program or each phase thereof to judge the effectiveness of the instructional design. Educational evaluation serves the dual function of guidance and assessment. We need to employ a variety of appropriate techniques and tools to collect all kinds of evidence required at different stages of curriculum development and implementation. The techniques and tool to be used should be selected in relation to the nature of the objectives or the learning outcomes and the kinds of performance to be assessed or evidence to be collected. The evidence to ascertain the success or the failure of an educational program can be collected through systematic feedback from the makers and users of curriculum. From the discussion so far, we may say that there are two types of evaluation, that is, student evaluation and curriculum evaluation. Student evaluation. Student evaluation aims at assessing the changes in the student's behavior. These changes in behavior can be assessed through oral, written, or practical tests, responses during interactive teaching learning sessions, discussions in different kinds of situation, etc. written products of different kinds, that is assignment responses, terms papers, project report, etc. Evaluation of the learners requires sufficient experience and expertise to frame good questions for higher level objectives. We can prepare observation schedules to validate student performance. These can be applicable to many tasks of the same kind or in the same area. Qualitative criteria can be assigned so that judgment in the form of rating points 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or corresponding A, B, C, D, E can be made. The marks or grade awarded for total performance can be explained with a brief descriptive statement. Curriculum evaluation. Student performance is a part of curriculum evaluation. This, however, does not imply that evaluation in education should cover only evaluation of learning, development or achievement of students. In fact, evaluation comprises assessment of different aspects of the curriculum as planned, developed and implemented. Curriculum evaluation refers to the evaluation of different components of curriculum: objectives, contents, method and evaluation procedures for student assessment to determine whether the curriculum caters to the needs and the educational purposes to the target group. Curriculum components cannot be scrutinized in isolation, since each component affects and influences the rest. Since these components are interdependent, each has to be evaluated in conjunction with the others. The purpose of curriculum evaluation is to collect and use feedback for improving the curriculum. None of us would dispute the importance of curriculum evaluation, yet we carry it out very rarely. There are two major reasons for this indifference. Evaluation results are frequently ignored, and resistance to accept a new pattern despite its potential continues to exist. Since evaluation data are crucial for the improvement for curriculum, it is essential that we should understand the issues underlying it. Development tryout. Evaluation can be carried out during the process of curriculum development. Development tryout is a formative evaluation which is carried out at every stage of curriculum development. It aims at improving every component of the curriculum during its planning and development. Empirical data are collected so that decisions can be made to revise the curriculum while it is being developed. During the developmental stage of curriculum, evaluation efforts provide frequent, specific and detailed information to guide the persons who are working at the curriculum to take decisions at every stage. It can be take place at a number of specified points during the curriculum development process. For example, during a curriculum's creation, the curriculum planners can check whether a particular content is appropriate for the learners to learn. Depending on the results, the content can be modified, replaced, or even dropped. Formative evaluation uses the process of feedback and adjustments and thus keeps the curriculum development processes ongoing. Role of teachers in curriculum design and development. The teacher is such a part of the curriculum that he cannot be denied participation in the process of changing or developing curriculum. A teacher should be directly involved with the curriculum planning and development because it is the teacher who implements it and translates instructional plans into action. Teaching is an act of implementing and transacting the curriculum. Teachers should be part of the overall development activity. This implies that teachers should ideally be involved at every stage of curriculum planning and development, that is, from the formation of aims to the evaluation and maintenance of the curriculum. Their help should be sought for developing curriculum packages and conceptualizing resource designs. They can assist in designing supportive educational environment. They can communicate with the general public on new curricular projects and thereby make them more receptive to curriculum change. With this, we have completed the unit on curriculum planning and development, where we studied through various video lectures about determinants of curriculum development, principles of curriculum development, approaches of curriculum planning, processes and stages of curriculum development, its preparation, tryout, and finalization. Thank you and best of luck.